This is what I learned for almost a decade of stopping shoplifters. Your brain automatically mirrors the emotional state of a person you're talking to, even if you don't realize it.
Stop right there. Stop. What do you have me? What do you doing? Stop!
If you're new to the channel, I'm Josh. I'm here to talk to you about career advice and just anything generally IT or office worker. So let's jump into the content. For almost 10 years, I worked as a loss prevention officer. Most people think that that job is just about catching people stealing. The real talent was de-escalation, calming people down in tense emotional situations where things can go very wrong very fast. What surprised me later was realizing the same skills that I now use day to day for customer service, I also use to de-escalate extremely stressful situations with shoplifters. One thing research makes clear is that emotional
Pronounce this word as well as how to say more interesting.
One thing research makes clear is that emotional contagion works both ways. You've probably experienced this in your life. Your wife gets angry, you get angry. You get pulled over by a police officer, they're angry, you're immediately angry. That's emotional contagion. My job, I would literally watch people on camera and wait for them to steal. Very odd job. Never thought in a million years I'd be doing something even remotely close to this type of work, but I can tell you right now, it's a rush. I mean, you start seeing someone shop and all of a sudden they start shoving stuff into their purse or their book bag or whatever. You have to wait for them to exit the actual store. So when people would approach the door and I'm standing on the other side of it, preventing them from exiting, and I would just, there's two ways you can handle it. By the way, we're plain clothes. We just wear regular clothes. We do not look like officers. So someone walking up to you and just saying, hey, you need to come back in the store with me. It's jarring for a lot of people. They get super freaked out. But there's a choice that myself and my coworkers had to make. It's either you go super aggressive or you do what I did, which is the de-escalation. And this is where knowing how to talk to people is so important because you pretty much control the emotions of the conversation. Now, myself in the beginning and some of my coworkers took the stance of, basically yell at them, tell them to stop where they are, make it look like they just robbed a bank. That is by far the worst thing you could possibly do, I found out, because almost every time we did that, things went terribly wrong. What you should do, and what I started doing towards the end of my career, was I would just approach them just like a regular person. Just say, hey man, I'm Josh. I'm with the store security. Let's go back inside and talk about what's in your bag. Or let's go back in and talk about that tool set you have in your hand. Now, that person now has to make a choice. Am I going to feed off this man's energy, or am I going to escalate things? Now, some people did take the road of, I'm going to escalate things. I'm not coming back in the store. We've all been there. But those were rare cases. When you start getting that adrenaline rush, it's like, oh man, someone's stealing. We got to go stop them. You know what I mean? It's just, you get this like huge adrenaline rush. And I can tell you, it's hard to control those emotions. But I found it easier to control them when I put myself in this, when I put my mind in the state of empathy. Like, I don't know who this person is. We don't know why they're stealing. And they could be on hard times. They could have mental issues. There's a whole host of reasons. And I don't know what those reasons are. So before I would find a person stealing, I was already in that state. I trained myself to have empathy for that person before I even met them, because I don't know their story. I don't know what's going on with them. And as I caught more and more people stealing, I was working this job during the 2008 crisis, and I saw a lot of things where people were desperate. I mean, they couldn't eat. They had to steal to take care of their families, things like that. Now, not all cases were like that. There were some outliers where they were just hooked on drugs or had a mental problem. But I did feel sorry for the people that were stealing because they needed to make some sort of money to just live. What I found was putting my mindset in a state of empathy was I listened more. I listened more. I was more caring. I often heard remorse from the other party that was stealing from the store. Like, so for one thing, I'll give you an example. I had a 300-pound plus dude. I think the guy was, he looked like a linebacker for a football team. I mean, the guy was humongous, and I was by myself. And I think he stole like a lawnmower or something like that. Anyway, I go running out there. I put my hand on the lawnmower and I'm like, sir, I think that belongs to the store. I'm with store security. We can go back in and just have a quick chat about this. And what I was hoping was, he wasn't going to hurt me. Because, I mean, this guy, if he wanted to, he could just punch me and knock me out cold and left me on the pavement. Easy. But instead, what I got was tears. I mean, the guy started crying. He was like, I'm so sorry. I'm on hard times, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no problem, buddy. Let's just go back in the store and just talk about it. And he's like, okay, okay. And he goes back in the store and just kept apologizing the whole time going back into the office. So it was pretty important to keep these people calm, especially if they knew you were calling the cops. So you just had to be calm about it. And if you were calm, they were calm. That's what I found most of the time. And when you escalated, they got angry. And then you got angry. And it just turned into this feedback loop. And I remember I had this 300-pound guy in the office with me. I'm by myself. I have no one with me because my team was out at lunch. Well, these guys come walking back into the office with their food and they're like, who's this guy? And I'm like, well, he stole. And then they're like, how'd you get him back here? And I'm like, I asked nicely. It's true though. I mean, things work out much better for you when you come from a place of, caring. Because one of the things I kept asking the guy was like, hey man, you all right, dude? Need any water? Can I get you anything? Which shouldn't take long, just giving them some reassurance that like, things are going to be okay. Because technically it's, look, theft is bad. We all can agree on that, but it's not the end of the world. Like you're still going to move on with your life. I did have some people who stole that like had no business stealing. Like I had a doctor's wife steal from a store once. And I'm like, why are you in this chair? What? Like you can clearly afford all this stuff. Like, I guess she had like a problem stealing. I don't know. It was weird. I also had someone with a security clearance steal from a store once. That was weird. And I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, when you put yourself in a state of empathy, you can do the same thing when someone calls the help desk or when someone puts in a ticket. You have no idea what that person's going through. Susan calls from the finance department, just for example, and she's beyond angry. She's like, this is ridiculous. This keeps happening. And why is this not fixed? And I keep putting in tickets, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what's going on in her life. She could be going through divorce. She could be taking care of a loved one who's ill. You have no idea. And it's easy to hear that person other side of the phone and get angry on or feed off their energy. But if you have a different mindset of empathy, like, wow, I feel sorry for this person. I'm sorry that she's so angry that her browser won't open, even though there's a different one she could use. Maybe she doesn't know that. I say the same thing for drivers on the road. When someone cuts me off, and I had one guy, he cut me off on the road and followed me to my destination and was like, what's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. I get out of the car and I'm like, hey man, sorry. And he was just like, you're an idiot. Where'd you learn to drive? And I'm like, I hope your day gets better. I literally just was like, and he just stopped. He didn't even know what to say. He just stared at me because it's like, I could easily just feed off that energy, but what's the point? Clearly there's something so bad taking place in this person's life that they're willing to follow me, take time out of their day to scream at me and take out whatever anger they have onto me. And it's just like, well, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. I can't imagine what kind of pain that you must be going through. And a lot of professions use this, like most therapists use this. I'll admit I've been through therapy. I've heard that before. They express empathy because it's a lot easier to form it's a lot easier to form trust when you express empathy. And I really do feel sorry for them, honestly. I feel sorry for the people stealing. I feel sorry for people who deal with pain throughout the day, either that be physical or emotional. Now, when it comes to shoplifting or a call to the help desk, don't take my kindness for weakness, because if you're going to threaten me or threaten any of my coworkers, or if you're going to be rude to me or any of my coworkers, that won't be tolerated. Now, you should still stand up for yourself. Like, I have had people call into the help desk and start calling my coworkers nasty names, or I've been in positions where they just start bad mouthing people, and that's where I tell them right off the bat, I'm like, these are my coworkers. You're not going to talk bad about them. Now, if they genuinely did something wrong, we can have a constructive conversation about that without being rude. But we're not going to sit there and call anyone names. We're not doing that, or we're not going to exert violence onto myself or my coworkers when I'm stopping shoplifters. That's one thing I did not tolerate. So whether you're a loss prevention agent or you're working the help desk, putting yourself into a state of mind where you can help the most amount of people, in my opinion, is a mindset of empathy. You become a good listener, you become a problem solver, and that's all we're here for anyway, right? We're here to solve problems. We're not here to create more problems, because Lord knows IT has enough on their plate anyway. So in closing, I'd like you to try in your next difficult IT ticket. Maybe it's someone who calls the IT help desk all the time and everyone hates dealing with that one person. Those are the calls I encourage you to take, because it will show how valuable your human relationship skills are. Because AI might get really, really good at this, right? But it's still artificial, right? Because someone programmed that machine to act that way. It means a lot more when someone didn't program you to be nice or be empathetic, that you just are. It's almost like someone says that you're pretty, or someone says that you're handsome one day. It just means a lot more coming from something that's not programmed to just do that. So give it a shot. I'd like to hear your comments. If you found this interesting, or if you found the content helpful, please like and subscribe. But until then, I'll see you in the next video, and Happy New Year.